Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek Kill Team Battle Report. I'm Phil, the Glacial Geek, coming to you here from Savannah Line Games in Pooler, Georgia, where I'll be fighting a 100-point Kill Team arena battle between my Grey Knights and Neil's Thousand Sons. So the story that we've got going on here is that this facility was held by the Imperium, and it was an important facility that needed to be held and needed to be taken back when it got overrun by the Thousand Sons. But the distress signal that went out before radio silence was achieved by the Thousand Sons was that the description they gave was of the Tzangors, and the description sounded a little too demonic for the Grey Knights' liking, so they sent out a kill team of Grey Knights here to go take care of the situation, just in case they were demons indeed. So that's why they were sent here. That is the story that we're going to go play with. We are going to be doing the Interlopers mission. Essentially, there are 4 objectives here. At the end of each battle round, if you control 1 objective, you score a point. If you control 2 or more objectives, you score an additional point. And if you control more objectives than your opponent, you score an additional point. So a maximum of 3 points per turn and a maximum of 9 points during the game from that primary mission. We also have 3 missions that we have secretly held here that will be revealed if they are successfully accomplished throughout the game, for an additional maximum of 3 per secondary objective that we have there. So that is the story. That is the mission. Before we go any further, though, let's show you the 2 kill teams that are going to be fighting it out today. So for the Grey Knights, from left to right, we have my leader, who's a Justicar with a halberd and stormbolter. We then have a zealot, a combat, and a demolitions specialist, all with halberds and stormbolters, and a last Grey Knight with a halberd and a stormbolter. And for the Thousand Sons, from left to right here, we have the leader, who's a aspiring sorcerer. We then have a veteran specialist who has the icon of flame. We then have a demolitions expert who has the Soul Reaper cannon. We then have a twist Bray, who is a combat specialist. We have a Brayhorn and 4 Tzangors. All right, so those are the kill teams going over deployment. I've got my Grey Knight over here, my combat specialist, my zealot specialist, my leader. I've got my demolition specialist over here. That's my 5 guys. Going over deployment now for the Thousand Sons, we've got 2 of the Tzangors here, along with his veteran specialist right behind him. We've got the combat specialist over here. We've got his leader. We've got the Brayhorn. We have the 2 other Tzangors and his heavy specialist back over here. So that is the deployment. We will now roll off to see who will have initiative going into turn 1. Getting a 6, my opponent gets a 9, so we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Thousand Sons. All right, movement phase for the Thousand Sons here on turn 1. These guys all advanced. He just moved up and opened the door. These guys all advanced after the Brayhorn opened the door for them, and that is where they all ended up. So that is it for movement phase for the Thousand Sons. We'll come back to you after movement phase for the Grey Knights. All right, movement phase for the Grey Knights. My leader opened the door over here. This Grey Knight moved up and opened the door for my combat specialist, who advanced. My zealot specialist moved over here and opened the door, and my demolitions expert advanced over here. Both of the guys who advanced, I rolled a 1 for, so not really booking it, but they moved a little bit further. So that is going to be it for the movement phase. That's actually it for the end of turn 1 here, because nobody has line of sight for psychic powers, no one's got line of sight for shooting, and no one made any charges. So that is going to be the end of turn 1 here. So we will now roll off to see who will have the advantage going into turn 2. I rolled a 9, my opponent rolled an 8, so we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Grey Knights. All right, movement phase for the Grey Knights here on turn 2. This guy moved over into the corner over there. My leader moved up over here onto the objective. My zealot moved up to the corner here, looking on over this way. My regular guy moved up over this way, and my combat specialist here is going to charge into all 3 of these guys, just in case they want to get them in. I can attack them all. So I'm going to need a 9-inch charge to get in. My opponent is going to spend 1 CP for point blank overwatch, or whatever it is. It's basically 1 CP that will allow him to shoot overwatch at any point during my movement phase. So we're going to see if I actually make it in for him to do it. Otherwise, if I still stay out of sight, he'll just have lost the CP. So let's see on the roll here. Do I get in? Needed a 9-inch charge to get in. I make it on a 7-inch charge. 7 inches. I'm going to spend... Yep, I'm going to spend a CP to re-roll this. Don't make it in, and I'm not going to make him move where he can shoot him. So we both spent a CP on a failed charge. All right, movement phase for the Thousand Suns. His veteran here moved up behind this, looking at my guy over there. This guy advanced from over here. He stood still where he was there. This guy readied himself. He stood still where he was. This guy was the Brayhorn who advanced from back over there, over to here. And his leader stepped out over here behind the boxes, looking down the alley over this way. So we then have 2 charges, possibly 2 charges. We're definitely doing one. The other one might come if he makes it or doesn't make it. He'll make the call then. But so this guy here is the front guy here is going to charge into my combat specialist. Actually, he's going to charge into both. He needs 6 inches to get into here. He gets +1 to his charge because of the Brayhorn that is now within 6 inches of him and within line of sight because of the arena rules. So he's going to need a 5 on this. I did spend 1 CP to allow me to do point blank shootings, which allows me to get overwatch on him when he, if and when he turns the corner there. So here we go. Need a 5-inch charge. He will be in. So when he turns that corner, and gets right there, I am going to shoot at him with my Storm Bolter. So looking for a 6. Getting 2 6s. Strength 4, toughness 4, so looking for 4s to wound. That is going to be 1 wound, 1 regular save. Invul 5 up. No, goes through. He's got 1 wound, so we'll see if he is out of action. And on a 3, he just takes a flesh wound. I'm going to spend a command point to reroll that into a 5, so he is out of action.
For both of them again.
All right, so now his combat specialist here is going to charge into both of them. I can't spend the CP, the stratagem again because you can only use it once per phase, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But what we are going to do is he's going to be charging. He gets +1 inch here, but so he needs a 7 on the dice because he needs an 8-inch charge, and he is in. All right, so that's it for the movement phase. Into the psychic phase, my guy down here, my demolitions guy, is going to use Cybolt against his dude bro with the icon of flame over here. So we're going to start off here with Cybolt. I'm rolling 2d6. Has to be within 12 inches. He is. And now I'm looking for a 5 for this to go off. And it goes off with a 5, so it does a mortal wound to him. There's nothing he can do to go past that, so he only has 1 wound, so let's see if he is out of action. Whoop, that was into my little pot there. He is going to be out of action. And now his leader is going to use Cybolt against my combat specialist over here. So again, looking for a 5 to go off. Rolls an 8, so it will go off, but I will try to deny it. And I will not with a 4, so he will take the mortal wound there. So now let's see if he is out of action. That would be a flesh wound. Are you going to spend a command point to reroll it? My opponent's going to spend a command point to reroll that. Into a 2, so a flesh wound. All right, so there isn't any shooting phase because I killed the guy over there, and no one else has line of sight to anybody. Or he has line of sight, but these guys are both engaged over here. So now we're going to go into the fight phase. We've got the Hammer of Wrath phase here. So this was an interesting situation that happened. My combat specialist declared the charge, rolled the charge, moved from a charge, but didn't make the charge. His guy made the charge over here, and we were wondering if this guy, my combat specialist, counts as having been a charger in the charge phase since he declared the charge. We looked into it, and the way it words is that if you cannot make it within 1 inch of the opponent when you do this move, you are not considered to have charged, even though you put a charge token next to him and has all the restrictions of having charged. So we decided that we don't think he does, but if you guys know to the contrary, that he does count as charged and therefore would go in the Hammer of Wrath phase, let me know. But we're going to play it like he doesn't because that seems to be the way it is for the wording. So right now, his combat specialist is going to start us off here. He's going to put 4 attacks all into my combat specialist over here. So it's going to be 4 attacks. These are going to be hitting on 3s. All hits, pretty good there. Strength 4, right? So looking for 4s to wound. Getting 3 wounds. I've got 3 3-up armor saves. And I failed all 3 of them. All right, so we've got +1 to this roll because of the flesh wound there. And on a 2, he takes a 2nd flesh wound. All right, so now my combat specialist will attack back. He's got 1 attack base, +1 because of being a combat specialist, so it's going to be 2 attacks here, hitting on 4s because he's got 2 flesh wounds, ignores the first one because of transhuman physiology. making neither. And then one attack from this guy into him over here on a 3. That is a hit. All right, so he's got the halberd there, so it's strength +1, so he's going to be strength 5 effective there. So it's going to be looking for a 3 to wound. That is a wound right there. AP -2, but he don't care because he's got a 5 up invul save. No, on a 2 it does not go through. So it's going to be D3 damage. Oh, 1 second. All right, so D3 damage. It's going to be 1 damage. So let's see if he is out of action. On a 2, he takes a flesh wound. I'm going to spend my last CP on this one. Into a 5, and he's out of action. All right, so that is the end of the turn here. We both score, or I should say at the end of the fight phase, I did score a secondary point for cut apart here. So for cut apart here, it means that if if I took out an enemy model, removed an enemy model because of my close combat attacks at the end of the fight phase, I score a victory point. So I killed that guy there, so I took that victory point there. And at the end of the battle round, we both score 2 points because we both control 2 objectives here. My opponent scored the 1 over here because he also elected for this guy. Should have mentioned in the movement phase, he elected this guy that he did nothing, so he was getting the secondary objective, which was activate engines, which is the secondary this mission specific secondary mission. So we got 1 point for that, and I got 1 point extra for scout the field because I have him within 1 inch of 2 battlefield edges over here, and he's within 1 inch of a 3rd battlefield edge there. So that means that I get the 3 battlefield edges. So that puts my opponent at 5 victory points right now, and puts me at 6 victory points. So we will now be rolling off to see who will have the initiative going into turn 3. I rolled a 6, my opponent rolled an 8, so we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Thousand Suns here on turn 3.
I declare.
All right, movement phase for the Dude Bros Thousand Suns. That's the word I was looking for. He is going to be well, we'll get back to him. So he advanced over to this place over here. He is going to stay still and be elected to get him the victory point for his secondary objective over there. This guy's staying still. This guy moved, so he's within 1 inch of the door over here. And now we are going to have a couple charges. So we've got we're going to start off with the Brayhorn, who's going to charge into my guy over here. So he's just under 8 inches away from my guy, so he needs a 7-inch charge. He gives himself a +1. I spent 1 CP for point blank overwatch, so that if and when he comes around the corner, I can shoot at him. So here we go. He needs a 6 on the dice. Getting that charge, so he will, when he comes around the corner over here, I will try to shoot him. So looking for 6s with the Storm Bolter. Not getting anything there, so he will be in there. All right, so now his leader over here is going to charge into both my guys over here. So my guy back here is going to fire Overwatch, looking for a 6 with his Storm Bolter. Getting 1 hit. Not getting a wound. I am not going to spend a CP to reroll it. So his charge, he needs 7 inches to get into my back guy over there. And on an 8, he'll be in. All right, movement phase for the Grey Knights here on turn 3. These guys are locked in combat. My leader moved up, so he's still within holding range of the objective there, but he got a little bit closer up this way. And this guy moved up over to this corner so we can get line of sight on this guy. So now my Zealot here is going to charge into his leader. So I need an 8-inch charge to get in. 7 inches. I'm going to spend a command point to reroll it because I really need that charge. Oh, 6 inches. Not making it. All right, so that's it for the movement phase. Into the psychic phase, his leader is going to cast Psybolt into my dude bro over here. Looking for a 5 to go off. It goes off on an 8. I am going to try to deny the witch. Come on, show me that 9. Getting it with an 11. Woo! All right, so now my guy here is going to Psybolt into his leader, looking for a 5 to go off. Does not go off. Almost perils, but it did not. So that's going to be a 3 failed. All right, so into the shooting phase, his ready guy over here is going to fire into my dude bro. He's going to be hitting on a 6 though because he's obscured and more than half range for his pistol. So looking for a 6. No hit. And now my demolitions expert is going to fire into his dude bro there. He is within half range of his storm bolter, 12 inches. So I'm going to have rapid fire, so 4 shots here. These are going to be hitting on, so within half range, but he is obscured, -1, but he has demolitions expert, so +1, or no, +1 to wound, I believe, for that. So this is going to be hitting on 4s. All right, getting 1 wound. Wounding on a 3, though, because of the demolitions expert. Not gonna get it. All right, so into the fight phase now. His Brayhorn here is going to attack into my dude bro over here. So he's gonna have 3 attacks. No, 2 attacks. Sorry, hitting on 3s. That's gonna be 1 hit. Strength 4, toughness 4. Looking for a 4 to wound. That is a wound. AP -1, so it becomes a 4-up armor save. No, that goes through. So +2 to this roll to see if he's out of action. And he is out of action. All right, so now his leader is going to attack into my dude bro over here. So he's going to have 2 attacks here, hitting on 3s. That is 2 hits. Strength +2, so looking for 3s to wound. Getting 1 wound, AP -1, so looking for a 4-up save. Yeah, he's good. Woo! All right, so now my guy's going to attack back into his leader over here. 1 attack hitting on a 3. That is not a hit. All right, so now his Tzangor, his Brayhorn over here is going to attack into my dude bro now with, he's going to spend, my opponent spent 2 CP for, what is it? Cycle of Slaughter, which allowed, he followed up, so he got within 1 inch of him when he piled in over here, or consolidated in after his attack over here. So now he has 2 attacks into my dude bro. Hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits, strength 4, so looking for 4s to wound. Getting 1 wound, AP -1, so looking for a 4-up. Oh, 1 second. My opponent's going to re-roll that fail there. So looking for a 4. No, not meant to be. So here we go, 4-up save. He's good with a fail first. All right, so at the end of the fight phase, my opponent scored cut apart over here because he killed my 1 dude bro there. And that is the end of the fight phase and the end of turn 3 here. So we both score 2 points for holding 2 objectives. My opponent also got a point for starting the engines there, and he also got that the denial of or that 1 kill point there. So my opponent scored 4 points this turn. I scored 2 points. Making my score getting me to an what was I at? 2, 4, 6, 8 points, and my opponent to 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 points. So it's 8 to 9 right now to my opponent. So we will now roll off to see who will have the initiative going into the final turn here on turn 4. And my opponent will be going first with his 11. I've just rolled the 2. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Thousand Suns. All right, movement phase for the Thousand Suns here. His guys stayed here and did nothing, so he's going to start the engines. This guy moved over here. These guys stayed in combat. The one guy that was over there readied himself, and the other guy that was by the door here moved around over this way to get line of sight on my dude bro. And that is going to be it for the movement phase for the Thousand Suns. We will now come back to you after movement phase for the Grey Knights. All right, movement phase for the Grey Knights here on turn 4. My leader over here moved up to the door and opened it after he moved away from the door to contest it. And this guy stayed in combat. Now we are going to have 2 charges. He is going to charge into both of them over here. And he's going to make it in. And then this guy here is going to charge into both of them over here. So I needed 8-inch charge to get into the front guy. 9 inches will get me into both. So here we go. Here comes this Overwatch. Not a hit. The second guy is not a hit either. So I need at least an 8-inch charge here. 7. All right. I'm going to have to spend a CP to re-roll this because I really need this to happen. Come on. Do it. Do it. Do it. No. That might be game. Oh, boy. All right, so now his leader is going to start us off in the psychic phase by casting Psybolt into my Zealot. He's looking for a 5 to go off. Goes off with a 6. I will try to deny it. Ooh, I do not deny it. So let's see if he is out of action. No, flesh wound. My opponent's going to spend a CP to re-roll that one. And a 6, he's out of action. And now my leader is going to psych into his guy over here. Goes off on a 7. So let's see if he is out of action.
Stop me from getting you.
Yeah. No, he takes a flesh wound. I'm going to spend a CP to reroll that. Into a 5, he's out of action.
This guy?
All right, so into the shooting phase. His Tzangor here is going to shoot into my leader. So he needs a 4 to hit, a 5 to hit because he's obscured, but within 6 inches. That is a hit. Looking for a 5 to wound because it's strength 3 on his weapon. No wound. All right, so now my leader is going to shoot into his dude bro there. I've got 4 shots hitting on 3s because he's not obscured from my observance there. That is going to be 3 hits. Wounding on 4s. Getting 1 wound. 5 up. Save. No. You're going to spend a CP to reroll that. No save. Is he out of action? This has got to happen. Yeah, he's out of action with a 5. All right, so into the fight phase. His leader is going to attack into my dude bro over here. So he's going to have 2 attacks hitting on 3s. That is 1 hit. I was going to spend a command point to reroll that. Nope, still 1 hit. Looking for a 3 to wound. No wound. And now my dude bro is going to attack into his twist spray. 1 attack here, hitting on a 3. That's a fill face hit. Wounding on a 3 because of the halberd. That's a wound. 5 up invul save. No, it's going to go through. D3 wounds. Doing 1 wound. And he's out of action. All right, so that is the end of the fight phase. At the end of the fight phase, I did score 1 point for cut apart because I removed a model in the close combat phase. That left us at the end of the game now. My opponent, I guess, does have to roll for break, but I don't think it makes a difference at this point because the game doesn't end because of that. So at the end of the turn here, we both control 1 objective, which gives us 1 point each. And my opponent had already had the one for the start the engine, which means that we both scored 2 points each this turn, and my opponent scored. We both scored 2 points this turn, which means that my opponent wins by 1 point. Ooh, brutal. It was a ton of fun, though. Super close. If he had made that charge over here, I could have pulled out the victory, but the second I failed that charge, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get enough points with the secondaries to be able to get the tie. But if I had gone onto that objective and held that objective, I would have scored 3 objectives for holding 2 or more and more than my opponent, and then I would have had the 1 for this. Well, it was a killer, awesome, super fun, tight game, a real blast. And it was kind of interesting to see how playing with this few models, especially in Arena, does restrict you a lot, having to open doors and sit on objectives, and it held me back because my leader, he's pretty good. He's got the 2 attacks, he's pretty good getting up into the thick of things, but I needed to have him back here on the objective, and these guys got caught up back over here, weren't able to clear it off fast enough. So, but a ton of fun, a really good time, and I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil the Glacial Geek as always. My opponent's been Neil, and until next time, have fun.